Hello, I'm Rhian from Not Just Backs Osteopathy. Today I'm going to talk about how to resume getting back to the gym safely following a period where we haven't been able to go. So the gyms will open soon to some degree, won't be the same that we're used to. And so how can we start activity again without hurting ourselves? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So it's been interesting. I've been talking to my patients over the last 7 weeks since I've been back. And there's a whole plethora of what people have been doing. Some have been obviously on Zoom classes. They've been in their Zumba and Pilates, etc., which is fantastic. And others that have completely stopped are really stiff. And it's very noticeable that their joints have really seized up and their muscles are tighter and they've lost their flexibility. So for those people, it's really important that when you start exercising again, you do it in the right way. Otherwise, you'll end up more sore and hurting things and spraining things. So the most common things that happen when people go back to exercise are things like back strains, muscle strains, hurt tendons as well, because they can be really tricky to sort out. So there are just a few things. Now I'm just going to share the screen. That bit. There we go. So I've got a few little slides to show you. It's interesting time because most people, if you're a person that exercises and goes to classes or goes to the gym, you've probably never had so much time off exercise. Normally people have a few weeks off if they're poorly. Or they're going away on holiday. And even after the 2 weeks, it's quite noticeable the changes in your body. Our muscle conditioning really disappears. So if somebody injures their knee, the muscles around the knee can deteriorate within 24 hours. So it shows you how quickly our bodies start to go if we stop exercising. So if we think about post-lockdown, where we've been 3 or 4 months now, without doing stuff, we have to be really careful about what we're doing. So let's have a think about the activities that we have been doing during lockdown. So lots of people have been working from home, which involves lots of sitting. Lots of you have been homeschooling, like myself. There's lots of sitting. Other people have been perhaps on furlough. They've been maybe out in the sun, been doing a bit of gardening, some DIY. Watching loads of Netflix. Again, that's lots of sitting. So probably over lockdown, we've been maybe sitting longer than we may have been before. And so why am I talking about sitting? Because it's nothing to do with exercise. But I wanted to show really the stability of our spine and what happens when we sit for long periods of time. So here's our little model. And this lady's sitting with very poor posture. So she's slumped in her seat. And as you can see, the spine curves into like a C shape. The neck gets all compressed around the joints. Our muscles, so particularly our bottom muscles, the gluteal muscles and the abdominal muscles, when we're slumping, relaxes. So there's no tone in them. If we sit upright, we have to hold our tummy muscles more. But generally, if you're at work all day for 8 hours, you're not going to be sitting bolt upright. So the best thing to do, obviously, just to digress, is to get up and move around every 20 minutes. Even to stand up and move your body and move your muscles a bit. Oh yes, and also the posture, our posture changes, so we get very rounded shoulders. So what we're thinking here is about the stability of our joints, particularly our spine at this moment in time, of what actually causes us to be nice and stable. So our muscles are one big thing. They're the most superficial things that cause us stability in our spine. The core muscles, which actually does include our glutes, our abdominals, really help to protect the spine, and our back muscles as well. Let's show you this slide. So I want to show you this cross section of our spine. So this is looking sideways and it's being cut down this side. Here's our vertebrae, 1, 2, 3. And these are the spinous processes at the back. So if you rub your hand down your spine, you'll feel knobbly bits. Well, these bits are the knobbly bits. Our spinal cord, the facet joints, which do the movement of the spine. See, they have their sort of articular surface there. It's the half of the joint missing. Here are discs and the soft center in the middle. And here are some ligaments front, and there's some ligaments coming down the back as well. Now, around the joint as well, there's a capsule, which also gives some stability, not so much stability, but just a protection around the joint. It's very receptive, and this is why people sprain their backs badly. So when we've been sitting in certain postures, you know, everything gets stretched in the wrong direction. So I'm going to talk about the ligaments to start off with, these front and back ligaments along our spine. Now, normally they're nice and they're tense, so they have some tension, but when we're moving, they create some sort of diffusion of our nutrients and our blood, and they get rid of waste products from the disc area. So it keeps our disc nice and healthy. If we sit slumped like this, you can see that the back ligament will be stretched. Now, like a rubber band, ligaments don't like being stretched. And an old rubber band, they don't ping back, do they? They sort of stay floppy. Well, over time, this is what happens to our spine. So you don't get that nice pumping effects, and the nutrients and everything don't get to the disc. So then our disc starts to wear out, and that can then cause more problems, discal problems, and discal problems basically. so this ligaments are a stability, our muscles are a stability, and if we've been sitting and relaxed for a long period of time, they all get stretched. As we age as well, our joint, this capsule around our joint, gets thicker, so it gets tighter, and that's why you can then overstrain it more easily, because it's not as flexible. So all these things can happen to our bodies that make us more prone to injury. So when we go back to exercise after our lockdown period, we've just got to think about our bodies a little bit more, and learn where your body is in space, so that you know what your body's up to, and you're having feedback from your muscles and from your joints about what your body is liking or not liking, and really listen to it. Don't push through it. You know, there's always that no pain, no gain, but don't push through it to start off with, please. So when you go back, just try and reduce the intensity of what you've been doing by about 30%, especially if you're using weights. Don't go to the same weights that you started with. Bring them down, and then slowly over 6 weeks, build them up. This is particularly for people over 40 whose tissues are starting to get a bit older and starting to wear out. Things like our tendons really hate being suddenly overstressed. So again, it's that slow build up rather than going bang, bang, bang and doing something, because you know you'll end up with an impinged shoulder or a tennis elbow or tricep. You're doing lots of triceps, you'll be hurting your triceps tendon, the Achilles, etc. So the Achilles is more so with running and things like that. So you may have find that you've been running throughout lockdown because that was the one easy thing to do. And again, that's the other thing, is about, you know, running. You probably, in lockdown, you might have done running, you might have done a lot more walking and bicycling. They're the sort of 3 common things that people have been up to. And then you go back to doing Zumba or Pilates or in the gym, and they're completely different exercises. You're working completely different muscles. So, you know, just think that even though you've been walking and active or doing DIY and gardening, it's not the same as going and doing a class. And don't forget, when you're in a class, you know, somebody's there instructing you and you have to do it, and you're doing it for an hour. And so it's like, oh gosh, it seems a long time when you first go back. So just again, think about your body and don't overdo it, but listen to the instructor, listen to what they're saying, follow the cues that they're giving you, and because they're there to try and help you guide your posture, because posture is a really important thing with exercise. So if your posture is all rounded and slumped and you start doing weights, you're actually doing your tendons are not in the right position and your muscles are not in the right position, then you're working at wrong angles and you're causing friction then actually in all these lovely soft tissues that are meant to slide over each other. And don't forget that because you haven't been exercising so much, the lubrication in the joints, the synovial fluid, will reduce, because as we exercise, it increases in volume and makes the joint healthier. So just think about these nice warm-up movements. So if you're just going to the gym and being on your own, you must make sure you warm up your body properly and warm up your muscles that you're going to be exercising, so that you don't then strain while you don't just go from cold straight into doing, I don't know, 20 reps of bicep curls and things like that. So good warm up. The other thing about, I'm going to bang on about posture because it is really important, get your squat posture right. People I see so many times don't get it right. Look at yourself in the mirror at the gym so that you can get your body aligned. Because a lot of us don't know where our body is in space. And if you've ever been to Pilates, you'll realize this, because your instructor will come along and go, oh, I'm just going to straighten you up, and they're just realigning your body. And then you go, is that straight? And they go, yeah. And then you sort of look at yourself and you'll go, oh yeah, it is straight. I feel completely bent. And that's because your brain is so used to your posture being in a certain position that actually when it is straight, you have to re-correct and retrain your brain to know what normal is for you. So good posture. So our ears are over our shoulders, and our shoulders are over our hips, and our hips are over our ankles, so that's the alignment. So if your head's forward, poking forward, you have bad posture and you will be tight through here. So chest lifted when we're doing things, shoulder blades down. And you will hear your instructors keep saying this regularly and holding on to your tummy muscles when you're working. So there are a few things there that hopefully it's really about, it's you listening to your body and knowing your posture is the thing that's going to prevent you from injuring yourself, and obviously not being stupid and just going back to what you're used to, because as human beings, we all want to think, oh yeah, I can do those weights again. And actually, you've got to think about it. So hopefully that's a little bit of help, and have fun in the gym. I'm looking forward to going back and being with a few people and exercising with a few people, because it's great fun. And hopefully I won't see too many injuries in clinic. So you take care. Nice to see you. Bye-bye.